Today we are going to see what is better, incredible youth or incredible wealth. And to test this, we are giving two of the smallest footballing nations on Football Manager one each of these benefits. Gibraltar seems like the perfect place for a multi-billionaire to drop all of his money investments into. We are giving every club £1 billion, a huge transfer budget, as well as a rich benefactor at the forefront of the club. Iceland, however, with it being so cold and dark, looks like a place where there's not much else to do. So young players have evolved through non-stop training to be the very best in the world, and Iceland now have a 200 maximum youth rating, while all of their clubs have perfect training and youth facilities to allow these players to come through. Now I know experiments like this can take its time for anything to really happen because these are two of the worst nations on Football Manager. So I'm prepared to be in this for the long haul, and every 50 years I will replenish these advantages. Day one then, and this is the situation that we are looking at with the Icelandic and the Gibraltarian divisions. Iceland actually has two leagues that are far above Gibraltar. Gibraltar is the 117th highest league. Now, the reason why I picked these two, not only is the reasons in the intro, but I think given Iceland just the youth academy and the highest youth rating, is going to be less effective than the money. And that's what I'm kind of... In the back of my head, I think, well, that's going to be... Because they'll have players taken away from them. It'll be a while before that really kicks in and they are like inundated with players to the point where it actually makes an effect on the league. But the money in the Gibraltarian league could be huge for them within the first 50 years. So from my experience of doing stuff like this in the past, I think we're going to be looking at 100 years before we really see a big difference. So I'm prepared to be in it for the long haul and see where we go. So the league reputation of 117 and the 37th, which is the Icelandic top division, is what we're sort of like basing this on. But of course, if they're winning European competitions or, you know, they're some of the best players in the world, then we know it's playing a big effect. Jump back quite early just to see if anything is sort of like affecting things. So we're in 2027. So 2 years have gone on since this experiment has started. So if we look at the Gibraltarian League, the league with lots of money, St. Joseph has won it the past season. So yeah, they won it that season there. So what I'm anticipating is that already I'm seeing a player that I recognise in richest. That's quite impressive, to be honest. Now, he is going to go out of contract, so he's only been there. Did they pay any money for him? Like, that's pretty... only a year contract. He was a free player, but straight away, they're signing players that are recognisable. And if you can... Jimmy J. Morgan's in there. If you compare that to the players that were already at the club, look how many decent players is now going to Gibraltar in the first season, which is pretty impressive, to be honest. They're all sort of like English. This is a Gibraltarian player that was already at the club. In comparison, that's how pants they were. So we are seeing within Season 2 the type of player that they're bringing in. 123 current ability with 145 potential. Of course, he's not going to stick around. But Jimmy J. Morgan is actually a player that they have purchased or got on a free transfer. He is unfortunately going to be leaving them, but still a free transfer for a season, getting the job done, winning the league with them. That's pretty good. I don't think anybody's spending any money, though. If I'm scrolling through, Europa spent 1.300. Nobody is spending any money. No, so Lincoln, 97k. That's a little bit of money. Lions, 0, but they've sold players. Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody's spending the money yet. So if we're looking at St. Joseph, Gibraltar's finances, they've already gone through 100 million, 125 million. Still got the foreground. This is what's going to happen because eventually they'll start eating through and the rich benefactor will leave. So that's why sort of every 50 years I'm going to replenish that. But let's take a look at Iceland because with a season in already, we can see that, or 2 seasons in, we can see that really playing into effect with the Gibraltarian League. But we're not going to see that, I don't think, much in this division. So if we're looking at, this is the top division for Iceland. Vikinga was the current champions. So, I mean, their current ability of players is not that high at all, really. So it's already less than what we've seen in Gibraltar. But what I'm more interested in is the youth players. So we've got here we go, straight away. We've got a potential ability player here. of 181. Now, he should be playing in the first team. If you were doing this, he would be playing the first team. Even with that fickle personality, he's 16 years old. He is far better than any player that is already at that club. So this is what you got to be looking at, really. The under-90s there. 195. So straight away, Iceland are producing the best player in the world in 15 years' time, who can play right midfield. So, yeah, this is what we're excited to see, whether Iceland will actually win anything in terms of international competition. But of course, will it help the league? For 10 years into the future, I noticed that a couple of clubs were playing European football, but it looks like the Gibraltarians failed to get into the league phase. You can see here they lost to Coops in the championship playoff to get into the league phase, whereas there is an Icelandic team in there. I can't see any other one, so I don't know whether it's going to be a struggle to even get into this. I mean, we're 10 seasons in. They should be able to get quite far in. Benfica beating Sporting there. Definitely wouldn't expect any in the Europa League this early on. Although my eyes with like my... I struggle to just even pick up. I might miss something. You might have to let me know if I have missed anything. I don't think I have anyway. But what I noticed straight away is, of course, the money being spent in Gibraltar is going up just ever so slightly. We got 325k there by Lincoln. Lincoln Red Imps, one of the biggest teams. So, and if you're scrolling through, Lions didn't spend any. It's every now and then one club is sort of just spending big money. St. Joseph's, I thought, would have spent more. And if you're going through, they have done in the past. Like there's a season where they spent £4 million on one player there. So John Allison, who doesn't look too bad, but it's not like amazing amounts of money. So I don't know whether it's kind of like, I mean, they've won the league again, St. Joseph's. And if we're looking at the past winners, they've been dominating by the looks of it. The last 5 years, they've won the most. So I think this is sort of the best team to look at. And in terms of their current ability, it's not as high as what it was in season 2. Which is kind of funny, really, isn't it? I mean, we can see some good players in there for that division, but nowhere near. I mean, Omar Richards joining... Jimmy J. Morgan was joining, and they were better players than what we have right now. So I thought it would be like later on, it would have a better effect. But the money, I mean, it's still there. But the rich benefactors dropped down to an underwriter, so that could play a part. I mean, their transfer budget is still £41 million. They're just not spending it at all. But there we go. So the Icelandic league, though, the fact that they have a constant influx of good young players, but not designated to one club, means it's in a weird state, I guess, because, I mean, we're looking at it with the past winners, because it's halfway through the season. So the past winners was actually IA. Do they have any players who have come through the youth academy? That's amazing. So it doesn't look like it. I mean, this guy's good enough, but they actually bought him from another club. But again, it's the Icelandic national team that's going to really benefit from this, because he looks great. But they do have a couple of players. I mean, that guy there is 22 years of age. He could still reach that 157 again. But Merkel Basic, who is Icelandic, and he did come through the youth academy there. So they are benefiting from it. They are certainly benefiting from it. It's just whether you can sort of see the amount of the type of players coming through. So this is the actual national team now. And you can see they almost have a full squad that potentially is like above 150. You know, that's a good amount of players there. The current ability, they've got the best player here, Anton Helgi Sigbersson, who is currently at PSG. So a world-class player from Iceland at PSG, centre midfielder. They've got Bjarnsson as well, who looks like a really good centre-back, 6'7" with a perfectionist personality. That's ridiculous, isn't it? He's obviously a real player, Johannesson. But they still have a couple of really good new gens coming through. This goalkeeper looks great as well, Valdemirson, who's currently at Juventus. And now, if we're looking at it, the trouble is they're leaving on a free transfer. And that's going to sting the Icelandic leagues quite a lot until they manage to find a way to sell these players. Because right now, they're not being able to do that. And that's obviously going to cost them in the long run, because they are 46th in Europe. So again, the Gibraltarian league has jumped up quite a lot. The Icelandic league has actually gone down, I think, which is a sad state already, considering we have given them some of the world's best players. Okay, we're at the 50-year mark, which means I will give them a bit of a refresh in terms of their advantage. But looking at it right now, in terms of where they are in the divisions, the Gibraltarian League has jumped up to a 56th or 56th, which not bad from the 117th where they started. I've written it down now. And the Icelandic has actually grown quite nicely because the Besta Deild, which is the top Icelandic league, was at 37. It dropped down quite a lot, if you remember rightly. It's now at 35. So we are 2 up from where it was previously. And Valor, who are top right now, was the league winners of the last season. Let's take a look at their team because they have got some players that could have reached big heights. They got this player here, 173 potential ability, but he never made it. I don't know why. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that his personality's bad, or he's playing in a league which doesn't have as high reputation, which can obviously play a part in it. The better your players are, the better standard of football your players are playing, the better they are going to develop. So if they have a higher potential and you're sending them out to like the minnow leagues in Latvia, for instance, sorry that shots are being fired at Latvia, but they're not going to get as good as if you sent them out first team football in the Serie A, for example. They do have this guy who looks quite good. 131, again, not bad player really, star player for them. So the standard of football is getting better in Iceland, which is great. And the under-19s that are coming through, still higher than what they was. Now, the reason why I've got to replenish them, if you think we're 50 years into the future now, 50 years is a long time in football. You're watching this and going, it wasn't that far. But, you know, they have dropped off quite a lot. I gave all of these 20 for everything. They have dropped off quite a lot considering this is the best team. And Iceland itself, with the dynamic youth rating, I reckon it's probably dropped quite a bit. Let's have a look. So the youth rating, no, 198. That does surprise me. I thought it would have dropped to like 170. I've done experiments in the past and it's dropped off quite a bit, the dynamic youth rating. So that's good to see that it hasn't dropped off that much for Iceland. Who, by the way, doesn't look like they have won anything. So award winners not available. They haven't won anything. Again, international football not being in the game doesn't help us that well. But, I mean, the World Cup itself, it looks like they're actually going to be playing in it, which is good. Can we see all groups? Iceland should be playing in it, I'd imagine. They managed to qualify without this little buff, so surely they are playing in the... Yeah, there we go. So they got a group with Germany, Iran, and Trinidad and Tobago. They should be getting in there. Tell you who isn't there, though. It's Gibraltar. Cannot see Gibraltar. And that's probably because they are starting to struggle. I imagine the Gibraltarians will struggle more as the time goes on since the previous sort of like buff than what it would be. But 56th in Europe is still good. St. Joseph's is the current holders again. And again, it does look like they have been dominating. So the past winners has really been passed between St. Joseph's and Lincoln. And that's it. Europa won it a long, long time ago. So it's never been won by anybody else other than Europa keep coming third. So maybe it's just these two teams who are dominating. It'd be nice to see that change. But look at the money. £3.2 million. They are spending cash in transfer windows, which is good. Sometimes over $1 million, sometimes about $500,000, but they are still spending money. And they're not exactly selling as much either. Probably losing the players on free transfers. So this season, that looks like the most expensive player that they bought there. They also bought £1 million player from Burnley. So, yeah, not a bad defender. And this is, of course, the champions. They also played in the Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Cup. So I imagine they fell into the Europa League qualifications, lost that, fell into the Europa Conference League qualifications. Did they play in this? Don't think so. So that's an Icelandic team. I recognise that one. So they are... Oh, there they are. My eyes are terrible. They are in the group stage. How did they do in the league phase? They qualified. Here we go. So they're actually in the knockout playoff round. A Gibraltarian team in the knockout playoff round, losing to Randers FC of Denmark. So that's not bad at all, really, is it? We've got a bit of development there. That's good to see. Now, the money side of it. Obviously, 50 years later, it's going to deplete. It isn't. It's still 673, but no rich benefactor. So the type of things I'm going to be changing is I'm going to be bumping that back up to $1 billion. I'm going to be bumping their transfer budget up, and I'm going to be giving them the rich benefactor back to the foreground, just because I don't, and I do that to every single team, just because I don't want them to sort of drop off and have no money whatsoever, or nobody pumping money into the club, so they're scared to spend it. We want to keep that sort of flow going. Of course, making sure that Icelandic teams all have perfect facilities for the youth players coming through again. But not too bad. The Gibraltarian League has jumped up quite a bit. The Icelandic League is slowly getting back to where it was. Let's see if it continues. Okay, another 25 years into the future. We're 75 years into this experiment now, and I thought it would be quite interesting to see the Icelandic national team, which we know, of course, is going to be the best Icelandic players. All their players play for different clubs in Europe. Obviously, AC Milan features quite a lot in this as well, and they've got the best player in this goalkeeper, who is phenomenal. But I thought at least there'd be one player who's still sort of stuck around. Valor is the only team down here, but he's only 131. He doesn't look that amazing. Abha, which is a Saudi Arabian club that I've never actually heard of, to be fair. But other than that, like, it's kind of the usual suspects that you expect to pick up the best players in the world, which is a bit of a shame, I must admit. So, okay, Valor in the best deal, which is the top division. They are now 24th in Europe, though, so we're getting somewhere, yes. But the Gibraltarian League is up to 13. We've had a huge jump, which is good. All right, finally, we are cooking now. Did say it would take about 50 years before we've seen anything decent. But Vikinga, which is the best team, looks like... We haven't really looked at this yet. The past winners in Iceland is literally between Vikinga and Valor. HK's won a couple. There's a few other clubs that have been... not too bad there, but Vikinga and Valor recently have been the guys. And if you're looking at their best 11, I mean, 142, which is a player that really could be playing for the national team. 25 years of age, good pace, acceleration, aggression's there too. I mean, he's not bad, is he? But the rest of their club is dotted around with different... Okay, actually, I was going to say European, but there's South American players in there as well. So all around the world... different nations, so the reputation of the league, when that goes up, you start to see more nationalities come into the division, which is kind of good. So they actually made it to the Champions League, which is great. So did they make the league phase? Hopefully they did, because that's obviously given us a sign that there is indeed progression. Maybe I'm just missing it, but I cannot see a single Icelandic club in there, so that doesn't look great. Gibraltarian, though, Man 62 is in it. Didn't win a game. They finished literally bottom with 2 draws. But they drew against Arsenal and Marseille. So the Gibraltarians doing well. The Icelandic teams at the very recent season has not. If you're going back a league, though, maybe we'll start to see some. Gibraltarian again, Man 62. And they lost all 8 fixtures in that season. So it's not looking great there. But there's progression. There is progress. So I think what's happened here then is every single season, the winner of the Gibraltarian League automatically qualifies for the league phase because of their league reputation. So Man 62, I'd imagine, has won the league the last couple of seasons, whereas I'm guessing the playoff or the third round playoff is where we're going to see the Icelandic team. So there's another Gibraltarian team there. So maybe it was even earlier than that. The second tier, I still don't know. Champions Path, they're probably going to be quite a lot here in the Champions Path, but the playoff, any of them make that? Doesn't look like it. So I think they're really... Oh, Vikinga, there they are. They are really struggling, I think, then, to qualify for the Champions League, which is then putting them in other competitions. Europa League, for example, they've gone into the Europa League from that in the league phase and still not qualified. They only won 1 game against Servette. So they're still not doing well, whereas the Gibraltarians finishing in the top 8. Lions, which I think they're the only team the English FA has ever allowed to have 3 lions on their shirt, Lions of Gibraltar FC, which is a nice little touch, isn't it? They follow me on Instagram too, which is kind of cool. So they have actually made the Europa League phase. How far did they get? I mean, a team that's got to the final from Austria, which I've never heard of. Cash Point, That can't be right. What a name. I do like it when you go quite far into the future and there's like just the most random team names ever. But yeah, they didn't even make the quarterfinals. So the round of 16, they were unfortunately knocked out from the Gibraltarian League. They lost to Sporting, so it was a tough draw, to be honest. But they've done all right. I mean, this Cash Point team knocked out Spurs. So that's pretty impressive. So the Gibraltarian League is definitely benefiting from the money way more than the youngsters going into the Icelandic team 75 years into the future. What about 100 years? Here is 21-25. We are 100 years into this experiment in Gibraltar. The Gibraltar Football League is 13th still. The Icelandic League is 38th. So to put it into perspective, the leagues that the Gibraltarian League is kind of around, if I'm putting everybody back in there now, you are looking at the Super League in Switzerland, the Greek League, the Slovakian League, Hungarian, Denmark. They've actually like overtook quite a lot of the big divisions there. The Swedish League, Norwegian as well. So they are above the English Championship. In terms of reputation, that's what we're looking at. This is what that's based off of. Whereas the Icelandic League is the same reputation as like the French League 2. So that's kind of where we're looking at right now. Of course, we will be giving them the buff again right now because I imagine Iceland have dropped off the youth rating. We'll see. There we go. 181. That's what I kind of expected it would drop down to the last time. So we'll bump that back up to 200 max because that's bigger drop off than what I anticipated compared to the 198, whatever it was, on the last one. IA have been winning the league by the looks of it. They've won the last 3 seasons. So how are they doing in the Champions League? So they've actually dropped into the Europa Conference League this season. So knocked out the playoff round, knocked out the second path, but they got into the Europa Conference League. Doesn't look like they've made it in the final or anything like that. So yeah, we're still struggling to get through that sort of like next boundary, aren't we, with the Icelandic team? So they finished in the playoffs there. In the knockout playoff round, this is where they probably got eliminated, I imagine. They're at the top there. They're losing to... Oh, no, they're beating Hammarby. So they did go through to the round 16. Then they knocked out DAC. So they're in the quarterfinals. Lausanne, they got absolutely destroyed by. But they get into the quarterfinals. So that's... I mean, that's a little bit positive, I guess. But past winners, we can see. I mean, even... You got Pushgas Academia in there. The Cash Point, obviously, we've seen them before in the past, doing quite well. They're still doing well. They've won it like multiple times now. But we still don't have any Icelandic or Gibraltarian teams who have managed to pick it up. Oh, yes, we have. St. Joseph's of Gibraltar has won it. Get in. So we actually do have a winner from this. St. Joseph's. Oh, I'm excited to see the Europa League now. I thought, well, if we're not going to get any in this, then we're not... Valor's there. Icelandic team Valor as runners-up. Yes, we are seeing it. It's difficult when you can't see the nation next to it, but we just got to try and recognize names now. Okay, that's a positive sign. That is a positive sign. So, okay, we've got Europa Conference League victories there for... St. Joseph's, but the Icelandic team did get to a final. So it isn't all bad. That's a positive. That is definitely a positive. Europa League, I imagine, doesn't have that, though. Surely not. I mean, I can't imagine a Gibraltarian team getting to the final of Europa League, despite doing that well. They definitely haven't won it by the looks of it. No. Okay, but did they finish runners-up? In any scenario... Did they finish runners-up? Cash Point again. How are they doing this? This is ridiculous. But no. Not that we can see. They haven't finished runners-up or got to the final, at least, of the Europa League. There's no point checking the Champions League. Definitely not. So it's interesting, the situation that we're at right now with the Icelandic teams. We're going to obviously rejuvenate Iceland as a whole. They haven't won any World Cups or Champions, European Championships, etc. That would pop up there. The men's national team, if we're looking at the players that play for the men's national team, oh my god, clicks are so annoying. There we go. Right, okay. So the best players play for Real Madrid. Funny enough. Looks quite a good player as well. But they've got players that play for Al Ahly, Sporting, Al Ahly again, Atalanta. Again, no Icelandic teams. Eve in the whole squad, or, unfortunately, Gibraltarian. I thought it'd be quite funny if the best Icelandic players all went to Gibraltar. That would have been like a little crossover that I would not expect from this little versus rebuild, versus experiment. But I think we can easily say so far that the Gibraltarian money is better than the Icelandic players coming through. Because, yeah, 35th in Europe, still not exactly doing as well as the Gibraltarians, chucking up numbers like this, finishing in 13th. And just to look at this league, I mean, the past winners, Glasses United have won it, which is great. My granddad played for them, so that's always nice when they do quite well. But Lions have dominated, so I hope they watch this video after they start following me on Instagram. But you can do as well. Omega Luke, go and follow me on Instagram. Oh, look at the players. Here we go. 161 current ability, Scott Law at Lions. He's phenomenal. So we are finally starting to see some massive progress here. 100 years into the future, with that money, only replenished twice, they have finally brought massive players to the league. Oh, I'm so glad I decided to click on this. They're not Gibraltarian, granted, but that's never going to, you got a couple of players down the bottom, which is Gibraltarian. We haven't done anything to their youth team, so there's never really going to do anything there. But they spent £197 million this summer. Wow. So they bought 2 players here for over £40 million. That's crazy. Has that been like the case every year? 227, 201, 189, 120, 169, 202. They are splashing the cash. Every season they've spent over 150 million for like 20 years. And it goes back. They're still spending some seasons over 200 million. I'm so happy with that. It got to a point where I thought it was going to be a bit stagnant and nothing's going to happen. But they have really proved me wrong. They still got £500 million in the bank and with a foreground rich benefactor. So he's stuck around. I imagine the other clubs aren't like that. £31 million. Lincoln Red Imps, only £3 million. Glasses, they won the league recently. They spent 102. They spent 102, so that's decent. What about their first team? Do they have the big players in there too? So not as much. So it does seem like the Lions, who are winning the league at a canter as well, by the way, are the ones benefiting the most from a rich benefactor. But will that continue once we rejuvenate all of the money, which we're going to do right now and go another 25 years. 125 years into the future, 25 years after the last replenishment, Gibraltar, it freaked me out then because it said first, they're 16th, so they've dropped down ever so slightly from where they were. Iceland are 33. Now, they started off at 37, so they are still above where they were, but I don't think this has made a big effect as what I thought it would. Valor are the past winners, and again, if we're looking at their team, the top player in their team is 120 current ability. And he's Icelandic, which is great, but it's nowhere near what I thought it would be. Come through the youth team? No, come through IA's youth team. Of course, who dominated for a long time. I genuinely think then the money is going to make such a big difference in comparison. If we're looking at the transfers out, they are selling more than what they're bringing in 9 times out of 10. Actually, there's some seasons where they're not. Very close. But they're not exactly like spending big money. I think the most I've seen there is about 5 million. So they're not really bringing money into the nation like I thought it would. Whereas the Gibraltar League, where they already have the money and they obviously have to bring players in, FC Magpies has just won the league. So 25 years later, and things have changed because Lions were dominating around here. And it's now Glasses United. Europa Point had a big spell as well, with FC Magpies recently winning for the first time for a while by the looks of it. And they are spending £55 million just this season. So previous season's 110 million. So this is good because the buff that we give everybody means that anybody can do well. They're bringing in a player for £30 million there. So let's look at FC Bruno Magpies, their first team. They've got a current ability player of 145. It's not as much as what the Lions was previously when they had that Scott Law guy who was really good. But, I mean, they've actually dropped off quite a bit, actually, because the Gibraltar League goes into 2. And Lions down in 8th place. So, in comparison, their best player now, they've had some bad management because they've only got 131 there, which is a shame. And they played in the Champions League or Europa League. Probably Europa League. So, I mean, we'll look at it. I'll go through and I'll scan the Champions League, but I don't think I'm going to find anybody winning it. No, unfortunately, no Gibraltarian, no Icelandic team. And what I think is quite annoying is quite boring, actually. It's the big teams that already exist. Nobody's come through, but it's because we don't have any of the other leagues loaded. So PSG's had a really big spell. Marseille's done quite well. Even Benfica's beat the curse, but every now and then you expect Benfica to do quite well. Atletico Madrid finished runners-up 5 times in 6 seasons and then won it and then become runners-up again. So there are some stories in here because they are doing it again. Galatasaray winning it, that's quite a special thing, I guess. A Turkish team winning it might be the first time, and they've actually won it quite a lot as well. So Bilbao winning it? I take it back. This is great. This is some actual good story because Galatasaray is winning it multiple times. Atletico Madrid are winning it way more. PAOK's won the Champions League. I'm getting a bit distracted. I understand. But PAOK winning the Champions League is kind of impressive from the Greek league. And Club Brugge finishing runners-up just 4 seasons ago, with Olympiacos finishing runners-up twice. Olympiacos, that's again quite impressive. I know we ain't got any of the leagues loaded, so it's always going to be a little bit funny, but again, quite impressive that. All right, I've been through both the Europa Conference and the Europa League. None in the Europa League. There were some special winners, but none of the Icelandic or the Gibraltarian teams. But in the Europa Conference, we've had Glasgow United, Lions have finished runners-up a couple of times. Even Europa Point have managed to win it occasionally too. So, yeah, there are some teams which have done quite well in this, but not as much as what I thought would in the Europa Conference League. That's the downside. Now, Gibraltarian football, I imagine, is still terrible because by the looks of it, all of these players are just playing in Gibraltar and not actually Gibraltarian. So, I mean, when I find the actual players, there we go. So their best player is 132 current ability, so not great. But they are playing in the league, so I guess it's helping a little bit. Just not as much as what it would in Iceland, with the fact that they've got obviously a better team overall because of the points that we give them. So the team for the men's national team in Iceland, again, they've got Barcelona players, they've got Galatasaray, but they're just not. I mean, imagine he didn't go for any money again. 20 million from They are playing for Gibraltar teams. Yes, the crossover we asked for. But unfortunately, they bought him for 2.1 from Vikinga and sold him for 19. So the crossover I was kind of hoping happened has actually happened, which is good. You want the money to be sort of distributed to Iceland, and yeah, we're getting it from Gibraltar and distributing it to Iceland. So it's kind of paying off. But the Iceland national team, they're not winning anything unless nation history. I just seen then, they did win the World Cup. Iceland won the World Cup in 2094 and finished runners-up once. Iceland have won the World Cup. Amazing stuff. They've won the Euros 3 times and finished runners-up once, and the UEFA Nations League 4 times. And furthermore, finished second 4 times too. And won the Olympics in 2104. Oh, good. I'm very happy with that. Let's go to the full 200 years. All right, 200 years into the future. The year is 2225. We have gone further into the future than what football has actually existed in real life. I think we have, yes. And this is a strange time because, look, if we are looking at the Icelandic League, there's been many different winners. Nobody is dominating the leagues recently, which is kind of interesting. So, yeah, I mean, if we're looking at the previous winner of the league itself, this team here, who I will not try and pronounce because that is a letter that's not in my alphabet. If we're looking at their best team, they don't necessarily have very good players. I mean, the best player is 102. It's not a good time. I mean, we are 50 years, granted, since the last time I gave them a buff. But, like, still, that's pretty poor, isn't it? And just to give you an idea, in the facilities department, because sometimes they drop so much. This one hasn't dropped so much. When I was updating them recently, one of the best teams, I think it was Vikinga, dropped to have 1 training facilities. And I thought, how have they done that? That is bizarre. They've managed to keep hold of it this time round. But yeah, I don't know whether like they had lost a volcano or something, blew up their training facilities and they had to start again. I don't know, but it was very bizarre. But either way, yeah, we'll look into the league itself. What about, actually, we'll go straight to the Icelandic team. So, the Icelandic team, the men's national team, have they won anything else? They've won 6 World Cups. All right, so they've won it 6 occasions and finished runners-up twice. It's weird that you can't see it, but 6 World Cups is pretty good, to be honest, isn't it? I mean, let's look at the best teams, or the best players, sorry. They are all from European teams, Saudi Arabian teams. Again, we're not looking at any Icelandic teams, which is a shame, I guess. St. Joseph's, a Gibraltar team, which had to happen. The best player is currently at Barcelona. So again, they are having their best players stolen away from them, which has not helped whatsoever for Iceland itself. But, I mean, 6 World Cups, you cannot deny, is massive. I don't think Gibraltar is going to have that down there. I don't think Gibraltar as a league or as a nation is going to be able to win anything. They've won 2 awards. Doesn't look like the men's national team has won anything. Oh, I thought they did then, but it was 2 UEFA European Under-19s Championships. They've not won anything in terms of a international competition, but that's fine. We didn't expect them to, really. They do have some banging players, though. Dave Spencer is a world-class striker, 29 years of age. Dale Griffin isn't too bad either. So they do have some good players. One of them... Look at this. So, this is obviously an Icelandic player, Bjorn Runnarsson. Has to be. It is. It's an Icelandic player who played in Gibraltar long enough that he declared as Gibraltarian. I wonder how many times that happened throughout the 200 years. Surely that's happened quite a lot. I imagine so. That's quite impressive, isn't it? Because if they're buying the players from Iceland because they're constantly producing really good players, eventually, like, if they can't get into the first team, they'll just declare themselves for another nation. And if they played in Gibraltar long enough, Gibraltar will be the team to go for. So the Gibraltarian League, the past winners, Lynx has won it a couple of times, but St. Joseph's and Lincoln have won it quite a lot within the last 25 years. So St. Joseph's are kind of like the biggest team right now. Let's look at their big team. So this is the best 11. Oh no, this is squad players 19. So no, it is the best 19 players. This is the best players. So again, it's a bit of a drop off. I feel like if I didn't give them that like replenish the thing every 50 years, we'd be screwed. They play in the Europa Conference League. Financially, do they have any money left? They still got $1 billion in there, but no rich benefactor. It really felt like that was making a difference. Like none of them have really like lost a lot of money. They're just not doing anything with it. I mean, this team spent £55 million, but they sold 83, so they are selling players. But if you're going back like seasons, they are spending a good amount of money, just not really very well. But again, I think that's just the AI of Football Manager, isn't it? Like, we all know when we have £100 million, we're not buying players that are terrible. I mean, that's quite a good buy, to be fair. But he's not at the club anymore. He's already been sold off to Chelsea, so that was 4 years ago. They bought him for £20 million, sold him for 25. So they're not exactly making that much of a profit. Players are coming across for the money, by the looks of it, and they're not sticking around because the league reputation just isn't growing. The club reputation isn't growing. They want to play in the Champions League. I imagine that's what the problem has been. But the UEFA Conference League, I'll take a quick gander and see if there's any winners from the recent seasons. I mean, who's that? That's a Serbian side. From the recent changeover from the last 25 to 50 years. Weirdly enough, in the Europa Conference League, there was nothing within the last 50 years, but in the Europa League, there was. Now, you have to go quite far down, but there was a winner from Gibraltar in Lynx. So they won it right after we actually left, to be fair, in 21-75. So Lynx eventually won it. So they've actually won a Europa League, and you can see there they've won 7 Gibraltar football leagues in the 200 years. I don't think they've won it since. But if you go through like all of these, it's very rare to see a Europa League in there. There's a Europa Conference League for Man 62. Mons Kalp, I think, also won a... no, they didn't, actually. Oh, who am I thinking of? St. Joseph surely has won one. They've won just one Europa Conference League. College 75, I don't think won any because they very rarely won the league. So when it shows 0, I think it's that they've played in that competition. When it doesn't obviously have anything next to it, but you know, Europa Conference League again for Europa FC. You're looking really for the Lincolns. The Europa Point, I don't think won. Oh, they won Europa Conference League. Of course they did. I remember that one. You're looking mainly for the Lincolns and the Lions to see what they've done. Because I think every single team has kind of won the league at some point. Europa Conference League for Glasses United, which is great. The Hound Dogs, I don't think Elvis's side. Oh, they have won it. Europa Conference League. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Lincoln, surely. No. That's crazy. They've won 52 Gibraltarian football leagues when some teams have won it like 3 times and won a Conference League or Europa League. But yeah, there you go. Europa Conference League for the Lions, who won 40. That's crazy. So Lynx are the only team who's won a Europa League from the Gibraltarian League in 200 years, with £1 billion invested into each club every 50 years. It's absolutely mental. So the final thing that we got to look at then is where the leagues have landed. So we were all the way up to 13th once with the Gibraltarian Football League. We have dropped down to 29th, which, I mean, they started off at 117. That's not too bad. But the Icelandic League, I mean, 44th. They started off in 37th, so we've actually gone back, which makes 0 sense whatsoever. I really thought that that would make a bit more of a difference. Obviously, it's not going to be too accurate because we haven't loaded all the other leagues. And there's no way I'd be able to do 200 leagues with all these, 200 seasons with all these leagues loaded. It would just take me years. However, Greece becoming a top 5 league with Romania in 2nd, with Italy dropping down to 7th. It's kind of special, isn't it? I mean, France is up there probably because PSG and Marseille are just very good in this. The Portuguese league dropping down to 12th. That's kind of crazy, to be fair. The Dutch league is usually... Where's the Dutch? Have they just... Has the Dutch disappeared, or am I being silly? Where's the Dutch league? Belgium? Maybe I'm being blind, but I cannot see them. I cannot see the Dutch league. And I don't know... Oh, it's there. The Netherlands. 15th. Right. Okay. I was... freaking out a little bit there, but they're down in 15th place. Kind of low, isn't it? Very low. But I mean, the 2 leagues that we pumped investment into, the Gibraltarian League down in 29th, which is joint 21st in a way, but the Icelandic is rather disappointing in the 44th spot. I really did think that would be a little bit higher than that. But there we go. What other experiments would you like to see? What sort of things using the editor? Maybe it's team-wise, player-wise, nation-wise. Would you like to see we could pop 2 together and versus them each other like we have done on this one? Because clearly, adding billions and billions of money into a league is better than giving them the world's best players. For the league, anyway. For the nation... Iceland have, like, what, 6 World Cups. Gibraltar, I don't even think have made a World Cup. So, I think either way that you want to spin it, for the nation, it's better to give them the players. For the league itself, it's better for the money. What else do you want to see? And if you're looking for something else to watch, I took on my first youth to go recently. I think I fell in love with the club. That one's on screen right now.